We're going to be removing the rear shock on this one, and it looks like we just have 2 bolts on there. We're looking at a GT iDrive 5.0. This bike is probably late 90s, early 2000. Has the old iDrive crankset there, you can see down there at the bottom. So let's get started. First thing let's do is remove the rear wheel. Since we're going to be disattaching the bolt here and here, this rear triangle is going to want to fall down, so we got to downshift our rear derailleur. First thing you want to do before even removing or touching any removal bolts on your rear shock is to let all the air out of your shock. So you can use a small Allen tool to get in there. It's a Schrader valve style. And push and hold that a few times. Make sure there's no more sound coming out. Completely empty. Remember, as soon as we release one of these bolts here, the rear triangle is going to want to fall down. So if it's going to hit something, hit another part of the frame, just protect it. This one happens to have a 5mm on one side and a 10mm on the other. So it really helps if you have a vise. Here's our valve again. I'm going to go ahead and place that inside. If you got some soft jaws, something to put in there that's going to be a softer material, that way you don't do any damage or put any bite on here. But as long as you're careful and don't squeeze too hard, just has to be a little snug there. And just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and hit that pressure, that valve core again. Make sure that there's no air. Good to go. Let's get some safety glasses on while we're at it. And then, so it's basically, it's like a can. This whole section right here is going to unscrew. We're going to grab this and unscrew. It's going to come free from this portion here. Right where my nail is, it's going to be 2 pieces. This will come down and I'll be left with this. So we're going to unscrew counterclockwise. And it's usually put on hand tight, so we should be able to break it free with hand. Just like that. And if this was tough, you can probably get a tool out there. This is actually a little bit big, but they come in different sizes. And this is a rubber band. You could go around, it would clamp it, grab it, and you'll be able to work it free without hurting or squeezing or putting any dents in it. But this one worked pretty good. Just able to use the hands here. And as long as we have all the air out, we should be okay here. And there might be a little bit of oil. There may not be, depending how old this is or when the last service was. So right about there, I think I'm all through unscrewing the threads. Now I just have to pull down. It's going to be a little bit stuck, but I'll usually put a rag around it just in case there's going to be any oil or small parts that'll fall out. But usually it's just going to be maybe just a little bit of oil or dirt. But you're just going to pull back. You just want it to come back past this section right here. So you're just going to pull, have it come down about 2 inches or so. And do a controlled pull so you don't pull and come down and smack yourself on the table. You can see it's already coming down, just like that. Wow. So on this side over here, here's a piece of a black rubber. It's probably a rubber, it's kind of like a rubber band or an O-ring. So that fell off. Hopefully this was part of the problem where it got destroyed and it wasn't holding air anymore. That was the issue with this one, just was not holding air. Inside there we got a bunch of gooky, probably some old grease, a little bit of dirt. And give this a wipe off. So in this case we're usually purchasing, Fox has one bag of seals that they sell, and you just pull out and match the seals to the shock that you have, and usually you'll end up with a small handful of other shock pieces that you don't need. So it's usually not too hard. You can just match up all the sizes, the plastic pieces, the rubber pieces. So here we have a white piece here, that's a plastic bushing, then we got a black rubber bushing, and then another plastic, so it's basically a sandwich there. Up here we got a big fat O-ring over here, that's part of the seal, and then we'll have a few more inside the can as well. We got another 1, 2, 3 sandwich in there, along with the rubber outer dust seal on the outside. So I'm going to be using a pick here. It is metal, so you got to be very careful. You don't want to scratch any unnecessary parts on here. You can also inspect your shaft right here. It's probably like a stanchion. This has to be nice and smooth. This is where the shock is actually moving on. This one has a little bit of a scratch, but hopefully that wasn't leaking any oil there. If there's a scratch, it would leak some fluid. So this metal one's pretty thick. This one, since we're replacing, I'm just going to go ahead and stab it. Poke a hole in it, and then you can grab and have it come off. I pulled off that one. And over here then we have 2 plastic ones here, and these are full pieces all the way around. Some of these have a little slit, so they're cut in the middle. Yep, actually this one has this is broken up. It's made to come a piece, so it's a little piece right there, so that one's easy to come off. Just like that, so that's made that way. You're just going to match that one up. And this got to pull off, so you make sure you put everything off in a certain area. When you open up your new bag, you can match everything up. And then we'll go ahead and take this guy off. There's a big fat one up here. So you can either come in underneath it, just careful not to scratch anything, or you can stab it if you're good. Pull that guy off. Plate, that's what we're going to try. You can work this down real gently. Don't want to bend anything. just like a plate. And we can take a peek inside here, and I do not see any more bushings, so we're good to go there. Now we'll go to the canister, or the air can, they often call it, this guy here. So here's where the threads were, all empty and smooth on the inside. And then on this end here, we'll have a little dust seal. This is the lip dust seal. It's the one that's keeping the dust out. This one we can poke. And notice when you use your tools, you want to make sure if you do slip, you're not going to slip and stab yourself. So my hands, I'm trying to keep my hands fairly free, and my thumb is there for stability. And that guy just pushed down the other side. So that's the dust ring there. And then inside here we'll have same setup where we have a plastic bushing, rubber bushing, and then a plastic. So I'm just going to stab that middle black one. Be very accurate with this, get a good push in it, get through that thick rubber. Careful not to go too far, and then just peel up. And you can grab that out. And again, that was in the middle of these two plastic, and these two plastic rings, similar to these over here, except these have a slit there that has an opening. These in here do not have an opening, so these can be a little bit more tricky. But again, I'm just going to try and stab right in the middle of it, just like that, on this inside. And this takes a little practice, just getting the right angle, the right strength, and confidence that you're not going to scratch. So there we go, got that bent out. Now we can grab that, pull that guy out right there. And just one more. So I'm just going to push it downward and then stab it, and then turn my wrist to flex it outward. And then I got a bend in there. And then whoop, and that took off flying. And then I think that's it for that one. We're just going to clean and wipe everything out. You're going to inspect, look for any scratches, gouges inside there. So here's our new bag. So usually this is the Fox Rebuild Float Line Air Sleeve Kit, usually about $14, $16. And they give you a little packet of float fluid. It's like 5 cc's of float fluid. And then so they just give you a handful of new O-rings and plastic seals. We're just going to match up what we have here. So this one inside the air can here, we got 2 solid circles here. Boom. And then we'll match that metal one. Look closely, because on the edges here it kind of has a divot where it runs inward, kind of goes, dips in, kind of does the same thing on the inside as well. So basically it has a groove on the outside exterior. So these guys are matching up there. These 3 here, where we have the 2 with the slit, that's an opening slit, that has an open slit. And then this guy's a good size, we'll match this one up. These 2 look good. And they seem pretty symmetrical on both sides. Got groove on the top, groove on the bottom, a little bit of groove on the outside diameter, and then the inner diameter they got a little groove. So those 3 are good. Then we have our little dust sleeve here, which is going to be this guy there. So that's garbage. So all those are new. And then they usually give you a new O-ring. That's the O-ring that you see from the exterior. You can slide up and down. We use that for setting the sag. That's going to be this guy here. So the other one got old and it probably fell off at some point, but when we go back to install, we'll use this one. We install a new one. And then this big fat one will go back on the end right here. That's going to go there. This one did not come off. I didn't see that one, didn't see that one, didn't see that one, or that one. We did see something weird though when I first opened this can up. This piece of what I thought was a big fat O-ring. Go online and go look and see a diagram and see where we can find this. Although this is not included in the new seal kit, so most likely it wasn't needed, but the question remains, why was it inside there and all smashed up? And worst case, you might have to give a call to Fox and see what's going on with this one.